This is Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The top stories on our desk this evening: lack of liquidity in the economy forces women at Soweto market to work long hours. 10-year-old among the 167 people arrested for suspected criminal cases. Citizens First leader KALABA claims the UPND lost just ended by elections. In international news, Uganda's Museveni conditionally backs controversial anti-gay laws. And in sports news, the Football Association of Zambia spends over 127 million kwacha in 2022.
Camnet Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, will this Sunday face Mrs. Football Academy. Time 15 hours. Venue Mrs. Compound. Come and enjoy entertaining football. Camnet Football Club, a team with a vision and form for greatness.
The news in detail. Some women at Lusaka's new Soweto market have complained that the economy has become unbearable for them to survive and that they have limited access to capital, forcing them to start sorting beans at the market, which earns them 2 kwacha per 5-kilogram bag of beans sorted. Speaking to Camnet News, Imelda Piri explains that she goes long hours without food because the nature of her job is not sustainable for them to buy food for themselves and their families. Meanwhile, Ministry of Local Government Permanent Secretary for Administration, Mambo Hamaundu, has urged women and youths to apply in numbers for funding under the Constituency Development Fund in 2023, stating that government is actively working on simplifying the process. Details in this report.
The International Labour Organization ILO indicates that women continue to bear the brunt of economic hardships in the informal sector, as they make up a large percentage of workers in the informal sector alongside youths. Despite opportunities like cooperative funding under the Constituency Development Fund (CDF), some say they are not lucky enough, as they have also failed at such initiatives after their business proposals were rejected in 2022. This is the story of some women at Lusaka's new Soweto market under this shed, as many of them say they only depend on sorting out beans for a living, which they say earns them a meager 2 kwacha per 5-kilogram bags of beans, or meda as it is locally called. Others say this has forced them to spend nights here, as evidenced by the mattresses, just to sort out as much beans as they can to earn enough to feed their children.
Tisanka beans chabe nchito kulibeyo chita tilibevo chita so tikasanka beans unga niwodula situkwanisa kuti tigese vana so tifuna musitandizireko masukuru tina vana sivapunzira bakala chabe kulama yakuti ugula uniform ukulibe unga wadula malasha yose yadula tisankira bizi 2 kwacha medai mozi manje vana bazadya bwanje tenda munjira pansi na mendo kwenda kukombo nifuticherera futibwera kuchita piecework tabi bati kulibe chameti panga tigora njala so nga suna sanke swana ode nawe bizi ya dula ngaswana ode tibwera na mendo futi na njala
mwamene wakambira amaini mwamene tianga nani tabe mlavena ngwazimai sibaliko apa bali nkezi muja kusoba nchito so tikapezako so chabe tisilemo bana so kiremo na nyumba ushite bwanji kulibe bonse vintu nivomangika kulibe chabwino tilira kuboma titandizeko.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary in charge of Administration, Mambo Hamaundu, has a message for those who have given up on funds under CDF.
Yes, there are 2 ways of benefiting. You can benefit directly or indirectly. So my encouragement is do not be deterred. Let's continue putting in those applications and let us continue monitoring activities around CDF, because CDF is your money, it's my money, it's public money. We all have a responsibility to ensure that our decisions are taken care of, our decisions are actually implemented when it comes to the CDF.
He has urged them to take an example from those who have given testimonies of success and continue persevering. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The market leadership of Kanyama's Wafwano market in Lusaka have called on the Ministry of Local Government to enforce strict measures that will deter marketeers from trading outside the market. A check at the market found majority of traders abandoned the market spaces in preference for trading outside. Meanwhile, the market vice chairperson, Richard Perry, has disclosed that the marketers are deserting the market for fear of clearing electricity debt bills that had been accumulated during the previous administration, the Patriotic Front. Mr. Perry says this is because cadres never used to remit electricity money to ZESCO despite the marketers paying.
The trend by marketeers to abandon market shelters in preference for trading on the streets has become a common habit in Lusaka, defeating the purpose of government constructing market shelters using taxpayers' money. Barely 2 months after traders at this market in Lusaka's Kaunda Square Stage 1 abandoned the market and later turned it into a dump site for waste, traders at Kanyama's Wafano market have also deserted the market in preference to trading from outside. A trader spoken to at the market explained that people are no longer coming into the market to buy from them, but that they are all preferring to buy from the street vendors, hence causing them to lose their commodity and their capital.
Na boloka tomato palibe chili chonse vantu sivangena kagenda kwa mozi chabe kwa simu vintu tingotaya kutika wote vose vimba pamande no vantu agulise panja zatu agulise manini ndio problem muli muno mulibe vantu funa vantu mwangenese vantu kuti nayo kanso izipesa kundalama na ifeso tizipesa kundalama kaweza mbiza bagabwele kasa pesa nibendera kai vintu sivien ifo so baononge kati vitaya chapi baba mande lero Friday.
Another trader has explained that the marketeers are deserting the market for fear of clearing electricity debt bills that had been accumulating during the previous regime of the Patriotic Front, as cadres never used to remit electricity money to ZESCO despite the marketeers paying.
Market shops in Yambiri. But challenge I think I find that our previous government, unasala nkongole, zamene stinachite understand mwezi na bolera. Then lastly, after tapita, munape zati wa ZESCO, batile tera ma prepaid. Then ma prepaid jaja, uzapeza wati marketia akabwela lero, ma sisters, my youth family nina wa 3 quarters. Bacha ma babbing, our sisters, saloons, but now it's very difficult kuti sister pezeke o market akabwela, apeza lipila nkongole. Zamene sana pangepo zinapangiwa kwinamo. So chamene tinga pempe kuliba president akainde chile mama where that Mr. akainde chile is a listening president. This problem we have now here in Kanyama is too much.
Meanwhile, the market vice chairperson Richard Perry claims that a lot of traders shun from trading within the market in fear that they will pay for the debt they have no knowledge about, and have since called on the area member of parliament Monty Chinkoli to help them address the electricity debt that the market still owes to ZESCO.
We have been given a prepaid, which we are paying, and even the arrears for the previous government, we are paying 4,000 every month before we pay our top. Now, you find that people are shunning to come inside because of electricity. Instead, this market is in the compound. And being in the compound, we are supposed to be knocking off about 20 hours or 21 hours, because that's when we make business. We are different from the city market. Now you find that 18 hours, 18:30, we knock off. And we are missing that business because of electricity. That's a challenge. And we are appealing to the well-wishers, the MP and the councillor to come in and see how we could develop this market. And make sure that if a law could be a law that these people who are vendors along the road should come inside.
And efforts to get a comment from the area member of parliament, Monty Chinkoli, failed as his phone went unanswered. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A 65-year-old man of Kafua Estate in Kafua district says he has reached a point of desperation as he is failing to take care of his wife, 2 children and 5 grandchildren. Andrew Shumba says he has been unable to engage in any working activity since his amputation in November 2022. Mr. Shumba says his only hope lies in using prosthetic legs worth 10,000 kwacha, which he has been unable to procure due to lack of resources.
Imagine having to sit at home from sunrise to sunset despite being the breadwinner of your family, or due to limited mobility, which stops you from conducting any work. This is the situation that the 65-year-old man Andrew Shumba of Kafua Estates has found himself in, as he had his leg amputated in November 2022 due to diabetes-related complications. Mr. Shumba says he currently has a large family to take care of, as he has 2 of his own children who are still in secondary school, as well as 5 grandchildren left by 2 of his other deceased children. The old man states that the family is currently surviving on the little that his wife makes as she sells buns at a local market, stating that this is however not enough to sustain the family. He explains that he used to do various piecework before the amputation, stating that the only thing holding him back is the lack of a prosthetic leg, which he says costs 10,000 kwacha, which he cannot afford.
Vuto ya meneso nilinayo ya kwedo. Kunabwera chironda ku kwedo cha meneso badokta wanakamboti chitale kukwera. So wananijuwa kwedo. So ponijuwa kwedo hapa na peza mavuto wakusebenza. Kunijuwa kwedo na peza mavuto wakusebenza chifukwa chokunena kuti kwedo nilibe. Naenda kutenga quotation na peza kwendo 10,000. Twelaso 10,000 nilibe kwa hicho sana ya nchito mu 2013. So ndai kuungo lima chabe mwani na bjesla bana.
Mr. Shumba knows that once helped to buy the prosthetic leg, he will be able to work and lift his family out of their dire situation.
Pano pamene nili ndilendi bana bamasiye. Pamene banisira bana banga, pamene bana mwalira. Batatu bose. Ndo nitandiza yai. So nipemba kwa imwe kwa all wishers. Mganitandizire akuti nipeze kwendo. Kuti ntauzina pamene kwendo nikuyenda bana magazitandiziwa.
According to the World Health Organization (WHO), Zambia records about 86,000 diabetes-related amputations per year, while the cost of prosthetics within the country has remained beyond the reach of most citizens. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Police in Lusaka, working together with the members of the Community Crime Prevention Unit, have apprehended 167 persons suspected to be behind the spate of attacks and robberies in different parts of the city. Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says the suspects are aged between 10 and 44 years. Mr. Mwale says 21 among the suspects who have been eluding the police dragnet are facing charges of aggravated robbery and have been on police wanted list for some time. The police deputy spokesperson has named among them a 27-year-old Kelvin Kapanga of Garden House, who is believed to have been among the gang of 30 others who attacked and robbed a named man of Kanyama compound on the 17th of April 2023. He says after interrogations, the suspect led the police to where the 8 of his friends were hiding and that they have all been picked up on similar charges. And Mr. Mwale says during the operation, 12 suspects were found in possession of psychotropic substances, and the Drug Enforcement Commission DEC has since been engaged for further investigations.
Police in Lusaka, working together with the members of the Community Crime Prevention Unit, apprehended 167 persons suspected to be behind a spate of attacks and robberies in different parts of the city. 21 of them who have been eluding the police dragnet are facing charges of aggravated robbery. They have been on police wanted list for some time. Among them include Kelvin Kapanga, aged 27, of Garden House, who is believed to have been among the gang of 30 others who attacked and robbed a named man of Kanyama compound on April 17, 2023. After interrogations, he led police to where 8 of his friends were hiding, and they have all been picked on similar charges. During the operation, 12 suspects were found in possession of psychotropic substances, and the Drug Enforcement Commission has since been engaged for further investigations. The 167 suspects aged between 10 and 44 include 8 females. 52 were picked in Obama, Kamanga, Ngombe, and Kaunda Square Stage 1 and 2, while 115 suspects were rounded up in Kanyama, Makeni, and Garden House between April 21, 2023 and around 18 hours and April 22, 2023 at 06 hours. More than 40 suspects were fished out from different hiding points.
The Movement for National Values and Principles says Zambia may miss out on various developmental opportunities if President Hakainde Hichilema does not make good use of his proclamations of Zambia being a non-aligned country by visiting the People's Republic of China. In an interview, Organization Chief Executive Officer Jose Kunda says the focus of the current administration should be on fulfilling its promises to the Zambian people, and that no country should therefore be closed off as there could be potential investors. Mr. Kunda says of late, countries involved in the Ukraine-Russia war, such as the United States of America and China, have been at loggerheads, and that the USA has been associating with similar countries like Zambia, noting that this, however, could not sway the country's sovereignty.
Those that are bestowed with the responsibility of making economic decisions on behalf of our country to be cautious by avoiding sidelining other superpowers and avoiding also taking sides in the contentions that are taking place so far. We are all aware that the war in Ukraine is a war that is affecting everybody, in the sense that Russia is being fought not by Ukraine, but by other superpowers. We do not want, therefore, to align ourselves either to Russia or to Ukraine. Instead, we want to remain neutral, and we need to embrace all genuine countries that would want to develop our country. We do not want to align ourselves only with the United States of America and Britain, but instead we want to embrace all well-meaning countries that take interest in developing our nation, be it China, India, Japan, Germany, it could be Russia, it could be any other country that mean well. Nobody must dictate to us which country we need to embrace.
In other news, Dundumwezi Member of Parliament Edgar Singombe says the constituency plans to acquire machines to help with the extraction of cooking oil from sunflower in 2023, using the Constituency Development Fund as one way of promoting industrialization in his constituency. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Singombe notes that despite his constituency being rich in growing sunflower and soybeans, value addition has mainly been hampered by limited machinery. The area Member of Parliament says procuring of machinery will also result in mass employment, as more people will take advantage of the initiative to increase local oil production and sell it to the Zambian market.
Right now, the potential that I see, I think we have to go maybe on a larger extent in terms of producing cooking oil. We have a number of people in the constituencies that are using diesel-propelled machines, and I think so far they are doing very fine. But I think with the plan by the Minister of Energy to electrify constituencies that are not connected, it will boost this business. I can tell you that we can produce good quantities of cooking oil. All we need to do is, like I've indicated, is to teach our people how to package it nicely so that it can see itself in the shelves of some of the malls that we have in the province. Even Lusaka. This year, we intended to produce Dundumwe's cooking oil. And I think for me, just by the name, it is going to serve.
Green Party leader Peter Sinkamba has cautioned the Zambian government to stop relying on other nations for resources. Mr. Sinkamba says what Zambia needs is a focus on domestic resource mobilization, which he says is tangible and effective. The Green Party leader says the 8.4 billion United States dollars that the Zambian government is asking to be written off is quite a substantial amount, which will also affect the country who owes Zambia. He has since appealed to the UPND administration to operationalize the laws that allow the cultivation of cannabis and industrial herbs so that the country can raise its own resources.
I want again to caution government not to rely on other states because they have their own obligations on their own as nations. For example, we relied more on the IMF to give us this $1.3 billion, and we've done quite a lot to try and meet the conditions. But here we are failing to get money, and you could see the frustration from the Minister of Finance as he came back from Washington that they couldn't be given the $188 million. So for us, we have always indicated we should not rely more on that. Even on the $8 billion that government wants to be written off, we should not rely on it because we don't know what the reaction is going to be. Our view has always been that we need to focus more on domestic resource mobilization. Let's make money from our own natural resources. We've got the minerals, we've got the land, we've got the rain, we've got, again, we want to appeal to the UPND government. Can we operationalize the laws which address the issues of cannabis and industrial hemp, so that the people of Zambia generate that money ourselves? I think we must be embarrassed. This issue of jumping from one country to another, trying to beg to give you debt relief as if we are so impoverished, when in actual fact we have a lot of resources, natural resources which you can rely on. I think it must be very embarrassing.
Opposition Citizens First President Harry KALABA says his party does not recognize the United Party for National Development's victory in the just-ended 3 ward by-elections that were held on the 20th of April 2023. Speaking to Camnet News, the CF leader has charged that the elections were characterized by vote buying from the UPND, matters which he says were ignored despite the party reporting the incidences to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Meanwhile, UPND Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pomolo states that the party won genuinely due to the good leadership exhibited by President Hakainde Hichilema, urging the party members to continue working hard in order to retain the presidential seat in 2026.
While the United Party for National Development, UPND, is celebrating its victory in 3 ward by-elections that were held in Lupososhi, Chililabombwe, and Serenje on 20th April 2023, other political parties that participated have cried foul. 3 ward by-elections were held in the said wards following vacancies and deaths of sitting councillors and were contested by various political parties, among them the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, the former ruling Patriotic Front, PF, and the Citizens First Party, among others. Citizens First Party President Harry KALABA says the party does not accept the UPND's victory, charging that the elections were characterized by violence and vote buying. He was speaking to Camnet News Saturday.
UPND was literally buying votes. 100 kwacha per voter, plus a bag of meal, plus cooking oil. You know, every rally it was like, can you just line up, we give you money. Now, they were doing those things against the Electoral Code of Conduct. And we complained several times to the ECZ and nothing was happening. So this explains why Mr. Hakainde Hichilema appointed his people there at the ECZ. It is to perpetrate illegality such as this. But I've got a message for the UPND. You might think you have won these by-elections, but in actual sense, you have lost. Ask Elvis Nkandu the trouble he has gone through to get the votes that he has gotten. If it was not for him buying votes, literally, he would not have gotten anything there. Now, they are celebrating that they have won. they have lost. And I can assure you, UPND will not win the elections in 2026. From what I've seen in Lupososhi, where I was, from what I've seen in Chilabombwe, I passed through Serenje, I don't see UPND doing anything because they're relying more on money.
Meanwhile, UPND National Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pumulo has defended the party's victory.
We know why we won the just ended by elections. It is because of the good policies of our government. People have voted for CDF. People have voted for free education that the president has introduced in this country. People are voting for good economic recoveries, which very soon they are going to trickle down to a common person in our compounds. People have voted for freedom, rule of law and order that is prevailing in our country. We are fact and we are aware that previous ruling parties used to win by election but ended up losing in a general election. As a party, we are not going to relax. We are going to continue to make sure that we continue mobilizing, we continue engaging the general populace of this country.
He has urged the party to work hard and regain voter confidence for the president and the party come the next general elections. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting news. Stay with us.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti for your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Camnet Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, will this Sunday face Mrs. Football Academy. Time 15 hours. Venue Mrs. Compound. Come and enjoy entertaining football. Camnet Stars Football Club, a team with a vision and form for greatness.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. The Federation of Small-Scale Miners President, Pastor Joseph Mwansa, has alleged that delays by the government to simplify the process of acquiring a mining license has been contributing to the escalating numbers of illegal mining activities. In an interview with Camnet News, Pastor Mansa also says the process of acquiring an environmental license from the Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA is cumbersome and expensive, thereby prompting most of those who discover minerals to start illegally mining them. He says the association has on several occasions proposed to government that it should call for a national endeavor, but that other calls have fallen on deaf ears. He says provided the process of acquiring a mining license still remains bureaucratic and expensive for an ordinary citizen, the country will continue to lose huge sums of money through illegal mining activities. Let's look at this.
That the directors of ZEMA and the institution itself, they are not a problem, they are not our enemies, and many times we have sat down with them and we are told that they cannot change anything unless this document go to the parliament. That's where they can do some amendment. So this document is what has been an hindrance because, for example, if someone finds some minerals in his garden and this person is failing even to buy 10 bags of fertilizer, where does this person get 50,000 for him just to have him or her, just to have a license? It takes about 50 to 60,000 because you have to involve the consultants, and you have to pay for ZEMA, you have to pay for mining safety, you have to pay for council. Now, because of this, illegal mining cannot come to an end unless we sit down and we sort out this problem which has been there. We have to look at the root cause of illegal mining. If we can deal with the root cause, then everything will be done well. We will end illegal mining.
Energy expert Dr. Johnston Chikwanda has welcomed the decision by the Energy Regulation Board to uphold the lifeline at 100 units for the vulnerable segment of society, while at the same time reducing the electricity price by 40 ngwe per unit for customers who use between 300 and 500 units. Dr. Chikwanda says the decision is an unprecedented development given that the last electricity price increase was 113% in 2019. Dr. Chikwanda further says the small electricity price increase by 10 ngwe per unit for those who use between 100 and 300 units is equally welcome, and the 10 ngwe is relatively affordable given that there has been no increase in the past 4 years. The energy expert has also welcomed electricity price reductions for the commercial customers who use less electricity. He says the pattern in the ERB's decision places more responsibilities on the customers who use a lot of electricity than those who use less electricity. Dr. Chikwanda has since encouraged those who use a lot of electricity to find means and ways of reducing their dependence on ZESCO. In other news, Leadership Movement Party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma has urged the United Party for National Development Administration to consider reducing electricity tariffs for millers and channel the expenses to commercial businesses as one way of making the price of milling meal affordable. Addressing the media Saturday morning, Mr. Ngoma notes that the price of milling meal in Zambia has been fluctuating, with reports of the commodity reaching as high as 300 kwacha in some rural areas, hence the need to reduce the cost of doing business and promoting affordability. He says once this is put in place, these policies should be able to address the milling meal pricing crisis in Zambia, which has recently brought outcries from different parts of the country.
What are we doing as a country? Mind the Mungo could get chabe, Mungo could then Mulinu at let's close the borders. So what? Mkavarama border. Because you were supposed now to be talking of solutions. What are we supposed to do? So if you ask us, we've been told that the milling meal, the FRA, they are taking the milling meal to mirrors at 200 kwacha. Imagine angangani amalight. Because of IMF, if it is even if Malamulo IMF, so they are pretending they don't know. You are supposed to talk to ZESCO also abwezako so that wakambogaya maunga yaja uzankara mtengo cheap ngatwalipira ma 50 pin waikapa fixed basi bypass jamita, they allow it to be at 10 pin, for example. Then it means that deficit, the government now should go in a way to offset it. Meanwhile, people now who afford to buy your produce at an affordable, whilst you are making a long-term solution, you cannot be getting nikuti okay lotenti uke munyamuke mende mabaulen meeting market kubaulen uko kuma Northfit Charleston muyambe kutenga bintu vavantu ati ayi mulibe bintu muzambya maoda maningi ngati wazamulekani.
Central Province Permanent Secretary Milna Mwanakampwe says the current melamine shortage that has been characterized in some parts of Central Province is artificial. Mr. Mwanakampwe disclosed that the melamine is being offloaded by Kalonga milling plant at an affordable price of 120 kwacha for roller meal and 150 kwacha for breakfast meal. Mr. Mwanakampwe said he has noted with concern that some shop owners are taking advantage of the situation and unreasonably selling the commodity at an exorbitant price. Zanis has more.
By the year 2030, Zambia aims to have a diversified, private sector-driven competitive economy, providing equal opportunities for entrepreneurships and investments. Zambia also has a vision to have a country free from hunger, poverty, and other forms of deprivation. In order to attain this Vision 2030, government is doing everything possible to ensure that its citizens are food secured. However, government says some sections of society are frustrating its efforts by creating an artificial shortage of mealie meal in some parts of Central Province and the country at large.
Mealie meal is offloaded at a much reasonable price. Then someone who has money somewhere pays members of the community, 60, 70, 100 of them, they line up and gives them 10 kwacha. And they mop up the mealie meal, they put it in a shop. And this person creates an artificial shortage, and this mealie meal is sold for 205. Some supermarkets are taking advantage of the mealie meal shortages, where they are now pre-packing, they get a 25 kg bag of mealie meal and pre-pack it into 1 kg, 1 kg. And they are selling it for 15 kwacha, 16 kwacha. Right now, if you multiply 16 by 25, that is giving you slightly more than 400 kwacha per 25 kg.
A spot check by this reporter found some milling depots closed as they did not have the commodity, while others only had 5 kilogram packs as well as a few 25 kg bags of roller meal. But a check from FVJ milling plant found the company milling and loading the commodity en route to all its depots in Central Province and some parts of Copper Belt. The plant manager says FVJ milling plant has the capacity to mill 200 metric tons per day and as such is fully stocked.
Yeah, we have stocks in warehouse and breakfast, everything. So we are producing enough stocks, and we are also catering Kabe, our local, and our depots in Copper Belt. We have depots in Kitwe, in Dola, Copper Belt. We have almost 6-7 depots. So we send stock from there to cater to that side. We are choppies. We are also supplying whole Zambia. We have the orders FVG. So it means choppies means every public can get mealie meal from. Also choppies has strict 1 bag 1 person.
Kawe residents are calling for government to quickly control the mealie meal hiked prices by some traders and shortages.
Quanto ubunga ngatabudulire abantu teti bale tantamina line ine kuviro no kushita ubunga pala na mona fye line fye yaba na viro no kuyapo na mukushita feka pamela.
Helen Witty reporting from Kabwe, Central Province.
We take another break. Still to come is international and sports news. Stay with us.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, will this Sunday face Mrs. Football Academy. Time 15 hours. Venue Mrs. Compound. Come and enjoy entertaining football. Camnet Stars Football Club, a team with a vision and form for greatness.
coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has backed a controversial bill with some of the world's hardest anti-LGBTQ legislation, but will pass it back to Parliament to include provisions for gay people to be rehabilitated. However, at a National Resistance Movement meeting on Friday, Museveni praised the lawmakers for approving the bill and insisted he would never bow down to international condemnation. In other international stories, gunfire continued in Khartoum on Saturday morning after Sudan's top general Abdel Fattah Burhan declared the military's commitment to a civilian-led government. Here is a roundup of international news.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has backed a controversial bill with some of the world's harshest anti-LGBTQ legislation, but will pass it back to Parliament to include provisions for gay people to be rehabilitated. He insists he wouldn't bow to international condemnation.
I want to congratulate the honourable members of Parliament on your stand on the Ebitingwa. Congratulations. I congratulate you for that strong stand. It is good that you rejected the pressure from the imperialists.
The bill, which prescribes the death penalty in some cases, was passed last month and has already triggered a wave of arrests and attacks against LGBTQ Ugandans. But Museveni rejected criticism from human rights groups.
Europe is lost. So they also want us to be lost. But in order to fight, we must be patriotic. If we are parasitic in the mind of a parasite, there's no way you can fight. That's how you become a prostitute. Because you fear to sacrifice, you fear difficulties. Somebody says, I will give you money if you become a prostitute. And that's what they want us to be. They want Africa to be prostitutes. Do what we don't believe in because we want money.
Those who advocate or promote the rights of LGBTQ people can be jailed for up to 20 years and be sentenced to death for an offence of aggravated homosexuality.
Persuades another person to perform a sexual act with another person of the same gender.
Gunfire continued in Khartoum on Saturday morning after Sudan's top general Abdel Fattah Burhan declared the military's commitment to a civilian-led government. Burhan's forces are battling a rival paramilitary group in a bloody power struggle, hindering hopes for the country's democratic transition. Speaking on the Muslim festival of Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of Ramadan, General Abdel Fattah Burhan insisted the military would prevail and secure the nation's safe transition to civilian rule. However, only 18 months ago he joined forces with his current rival to seize power in a military coup. Both sides later issued statements saying they'd agreed on a 3-day truce to allow people to celebrate, but gunfire continued shortly afterwards.
Nearly every minute, a child aged 5 or younger dies of malaria, most of them in Africa. A new vaccine developed by Oxford University and manufactured in India hopes to change that. But the speed at which it's been approved in Ghana and without World Health Organization endorsement has some worried.
What is the government up to? I will not allow my children to be vaccinated. We have heard about children dying or left with physical deformities after taking some medicines and vaccines. Is the government thinking about the safety of our children at all? I will only use the vaccine after countries have gone through the trials and the WHO approves it.
Scientists at Oxford say research suggests the R21 jab is 75% effective. Detailed data from large-scale trials is not yet publicly available, but Ghana's government is confident it's made the right decision.
We are talking about 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 children dying of malaria every year. And if you can save even half of that number with a vaccine that is not as efficient as you want it to be, that is still good enough. Okay, so R21's approval by Ghana's FDA is not so much out of place, although the wish would have been that we waited a bit for the WHO to do their testing.
The WHO says regulatory authorities from at least 10 African countries are considering the vaccine. Scientists say the jab can be produced at mass scale and relatively low cost. It's already undergone trials in the UK, Thailand and several African nations.
The FDA, with all its capacities and competencies, certainly has looked at the dossier that was presented to it, and I have no doubt that they based their decision on what was in the dossier. Unfortunately, that dossier that was shared with FDA, Ghana and indeed Nigeria has not been shared with us as WHO.
The WHO approved the world's first malaria vaccine, Mosquirix, last year, but a lack of funding has delayed its rollout. And with around 660,000 people dying from the mosquito-borne disease every year, countries are desperate to find an alternative.
We now look at sports news. The Football Association of Zambia has boasted of a surplus of 9,401,551 kwacha in 2022. FA's President Andrew Kamanga, who spoke at the annual general meeting in Lusaka, says the association collected revenue more than 136 million kwacha, with the sale of the copper replica jerseys being at 2.7 million kwacha. Mr. Kamanga also says the expenditure in 2022 stood at 127,482,129 kwacha. Kamanga says he is aware of the complaints that the replica jerseys were not good quality and has assured of improvement in 2023.
To state that we've posted a surplus of 9,041,551 kwacha, and we had an expenditure of 127,482,129 kwacha, while our revenue stood at an all-time high of 136,523,680 kwacha. Part of the revenue was generated from the sale of the copper replicas, which fetched 2.7 million kwacha. Guest of honor, sir, I am proud to announce today that we will be launching the upgraded version of the copper jersey in the next couple of weeks. This is coming on the back of the anticipated upgrade of the jersey, which will provide a good build-up for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, as well as the last round of the Men's Africa Cup, which will play in June.
Well, that note ends our news this evening. The headlines once again. Lack of liquidity in the economy forces women at Soweto market to work long hours. 10-year-old among the 167 people arrested for suspected criminal cases. Citizens First leader Harry KALABA claims the UPND lost the just ended 3 by-elections. In international news, Uganda's Museveni conditionally backs controversial anti-gay laws. And in sports news, Football Association of Zambia spent over 127 million kwacha in 2022. We look at the Camnet verse of the day. It's coming from Psalms 46:1-2, and it reads, God is our refuge and strength, a helper who is always found in times of trouble. Therefore we will not be afraid, though the earth trembles and the mountains topple into the depths of the seas. Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night.